Hello and welcome. I'm Esther Davey, and I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the 12th Annual Denver Startup Week. Are you guys ready to have some fun? Awesome. Before we get to that, thank you to our title sponsors, Amazon, Capital One Cafe, Dell for Startups, and the Denver Business Journal. This session is part of the Spotlight track, sponsored by Strat Labs, one of the 8 programming tracks aimed at supporting the entire entrepreneurial team. By attending this session, you're agreeing to follow our code of conduct. I'm sure you have heard this already, as well as being photographed and recorded on video. Be sure to share your experience at this session using Den Startup Week, hashtag DEN, not Denver, Startup Week. Now, please help me welcome a 25-year veteran, comedy producer, recovering stand-up comedian, Jay Mays. He's worked with some of the biggest names in entertainment, including the Miami Marlins, TEDx, and Live Nation. As founder of Pitch Lab, he's a sales consultant and trainer, helping business owners differentiate from the competition, build stronger connections, and win more deals. Give it up for Jay Mays.
Awesome job.
Keep it going, Esther Davey, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. So there's 2 juicer salespeople on 2 different sides of the mall. They look the same. They're dressed the same. They're both working from the same pitch. The juicer salesperson on this side of the mall, she nails her pitch, pours the juice samples perfectly, and then hands them out. However, the juicer salesperson on this side of the mall, she also nails her pitch. But when it comes time to pour the juice samples, she spills. It's embarrassing. She recovers the best she can and hands out juice samples. Who sold more juicers that day?
Spill.
Think Spill?
Yeah.
Okay. No controversy here. That's right. This is a real study done by Vanessa Van Edwards. The spiller sold more juicers. I believe at Pitch Lab, when it comes to sales, connection is greater than perfection. Human connection, is greater than automation. And I think human connection is greater than AI. We will not be talking about AI in any way, shape, or form in this session today, ladies and gentlemen. This is an AI-free space. What I believe in B2B sales, though, is in a world of bots, being a human is more and more of a competitive advantage. So let's jump in. The first tip today, we're going to talk about what comedians and what salespeople do alike and how to win more deals. First one is the differentiator is you. Your clients, your customers, they cannot tell the difference between you and your competitors at times. The differentiator comes down to that connection, that vulnerability, that relationship that you build. And I'm going to prove it. We're going to start off with a quick exercise. I'm going to invite my friend up here. We're going to do a quick comedy karaoke exercise starring Mitch Hedberg. Round of applause. Anybody know who Mitch Hedberg is? Right. Come on up, Wendy. So in music karaoke, you sing someone else's song. In comedy karaoke, you tell Mitch Hedberg's joke. All right, so everybody be really nice to her. Are you a professional comedian?
Absolutely.
Okay, she is now. All right. Give her a big round of applause. I'll give you the mic.
Okay, so the first one is rice is great if you're really hungry and want to eat 2,000 of something. I find a duck's opinion of me is very much influenced by whether or not I have bread. What my stepson told me this morning.
Is it
It's clean. It's a Halloween. Okay, sorry to hijack your jokes. Why did the skeleton not go trick-or-treating on Halloween? Because he had no buddy to go with. No body.
Awesome job. Keep it going for Wendy. One time, I did that, like, I got one more joke. And this guy was in his 20s, and it went NC-17, and it was terrible. Thank you for keeping it clean. Woo! So the point here is Mitch Hedberg was one of the most prolific, most amazing comedy writers of his generation. We just had Wendy read a joke. It's not the same thing. The differentiator was Mitch. If anybody knows Mitch Hedberg, terrible stage fright. He had terrible stage fright. He did not want to be on stage. He was a great writer. But coming up in Florida, he used to lay down on the stage and do his set. Or like Jim Morrison from The Doors, he would do comedy backwards. That's how much fear he had. But that was his lovableness. That was his connection. Just shout it out. What can you see by this picture? This was taken from his Comedy Central special. How can you tell he had stage fright and he didn't really want to be on stage? Just scream it out. Sunglasses. Sunglasses. What else? Looking down. What else? Facial expression, trying to put the hair in his face. Anybody else? I don't know if you can see it on this picture or not, but also tons of heroin. All right, let's jump in. Welcome. 5 comedy tips that are going to help your sales team win more deals. Let's just find out about you. Show of hands, how many founders, CEOs we have in the room? Okay. Out of these founder CEOs, who is the main salesperson? You're also the main salesperson for your company. All right, founders and CEOs who are not really selling as much anymore. You have a sales team. Less? Okay. And how many just salespeople? You're a sales manager, you're sales. Awesome. Okay, we got something for everybody. Thank you for letting me know. The lens I'm going to give this for, though, is a founder who either is selling or wants to eventually scale a sales team. So that's going to be the lens. There'll be plenty of takeaways for everybody. Okay, why are we here? I want you to leave with just one actionable takeaway that makes you excited to go back and sell. Go back, do some prospecting, do your discovery, give a presentation. I want you to leave with just one tip. Is that fair? Okay. How about a round of applause for 3 more comedy tips coming up? I am a former stand-up comedian, and there's a hole in my heart that can only be filled by applause from strangers. So thank you so much. I'm really looking for that validation. So I just gave you your first tip. Let's do 3 more. The first one is connect authentically. Connect authentically. Who wants to scream out? What do you think of when you think of the word authentic? I know it's an overused word. It's kind of a buzzword, but what do you think of when you think of authentic?
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability, awesome. What else? Genuine. Genuine, great one. What else? Honesty. That's someone over here.
Uncanned.
Uncanned, perfect. What else?
No BS.
Relatability, awesome. The best definition I ever read of authentic is the ability to speak one's truth without the fear of being judged. How awesome would that be in sales, huh? That doesn't even exist. I've sold for 25 years. I totally get it. I was a yes man more than I wanted to be because of quotas, commission. I had to hit my budget. It's a tough situation to be in. It is. So we're going to talk about connecting authentically. I'll tell you a quick joke. This actually happened. My 9-year-old son and I were in the park playing baseball, and I'm having a great time with it. I said, "Hey, buddy, who's the best dad on the planet?" And he looks at me and he says, "I don't know. There's so many dads I haven't met." That is the most angry and the most proud I've ever been at my son. But that's really authentic. Right? That was a real authentic answer. I was proud of him for that. Shout it out. Who's your favorite comedian? Anybody? See him up here? Her? Melissa McCarthy, Wanda Sykes. Who else? Titus. That's an old one. Wow. Okay.
Gallagher.
Yeah. I love it. Give her a poncho. I'm going to smash a watermelon. We love the comedians, no matter who your favorite comedian is. We love comedians because they're authentic on stage. They say things on stage in front of millions of people on Netflix that we're embarrassed to tell our therapists. And that's why we love them. That is really the truth. But what the heck does authenticity mean in sales? What does that mean? How do we be more authentic? So let's jump in. First thing we got to talk about is selling outcomes. By show of hands, anybody familiar with don't sell features and functionality, sell outcomes? Okay, so let's talk about the outcomes. There's 3 types of outcomes that you as a founder or your salespeople should be selling. There's business outcomes, there are personal outcomes, and there are emotional outcomes. These are 3 different types of outcomes that your team should be selling, should be speaking to. Let's give a couple of quick examples. Anybody versed in this, scream it out. What do I mean by business outcomes? What your solution will help your prospect? ROI. Make money, save money. Talking dollars and cents. Those are business outcomes. What about personal outcomes? What does that mean? Your solution does what for your client, for your prospect?
More time.
Perfect, perfect. More time, help you maybe get recognition, a promotion, a raise, hit your bonus. Those are things that are happening for your client personally. And then what about emotional outcomes? My solution will help you what? Anybody want to guess?
Have peace.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind is a great one. Louder. Less stress, anxiety, those type of things, right. So, if you know what your outcomes are, that's the first step in an authentic conversation. But then you have to be selling the value. So let's make a jump from selling these outcomes to value. What does that mean? So, I'm going to give you a quick formula. The value formula, when you want to sell value, it's whatever the outcome is. So the business outcome, personal, emotional outcome, minus the price, minus the investment they have to pay, equals the value. So whoever said ROI is right. So this is how much money they can make or save. This is how much money your solution costs. This is the value. Prospects buy from us when they like us, they trust us, and the value we give them is bigger than the price. Everybody on board? Cool? Okay, so this is the key to having an authentic sales conversation. If I came up to you and I was like, hey, I got a solution here, give me $1, and when I see you in a week, I'll give you 10 bucks. Would you like that? 100 bucks. Just say yes. That's where we're going. Yes. Okay, great. I'm like, I don't know what to do. He said no. Okay, but if I said to you, hey, my solution costs $1, and in 2 years, I'll give you $1.50. Is that worth it? That's not worth it anymore. The point I'm trying to get to is you can't have an authentic conversation as an order taker that's just trying to get to the contract. I have no idea what they're trying to accomplish. I have no idea what my solution is supposed to do for their business, but I really hope they buy it. That's how you end up in the situation of, I'm just an order taker, I have no idea what's going on, and I'm feeling nervous. Let me tell you a quick story, and we're going to go to the next section. About a decade or so ago, I had an opportunity to work at a digital agency that did enterprise apps. Back-end, big-time enterprise apps for major Fortune 500 companies. And I was out of my depth. I had been selling for a lot of years, but this was like a small SOW was $250,000. A big SOW was $1 million to $10 million. And that made me nervous, right? I was just an order taker. I was a really nice guy. I knew how to block and tackle, but I had no idea. So I'd have my subject matter experts. We'd walk into the pitch. I'd nail that pitch. And then when it came time for the investment estimate slide, I'd say, and your investment estimate is going to be $60,000 a month for the next 6 months. But if you think that's too expensive, we'll go back, we'll scope that out, we'll be right back. That was scary to me. Because I didn't know what the outcomes were. We were selling to T-Mobile, FedEx, Meijer grocery stores. I would not have felt that way if I did a better job being a consultant. If I did a better job digging into those business outcomes to know for the $500,000 or so they're going to spend, they're going to make $100 million in new revenue. They're going to do an employee efficiency app that's going to save them $10 million next quarter. I did not understand that. So when you want to be more authentic, like your favorite comedians, you need to understand what your outcomes are, and you need to sell the value. Uncover that value and sell it, so when you're sitting down, you understand what your solution is doing for this organization. Awesome? Let's do it. We're going to go to number 2. I'll do that thing that comedians do where they take a sip. They're not really taking a sip, they're just like pausing, but it's... You ever notice wide mouth means like more opportunity to spill it on your chest?
Yes.
Yeah, narrow mouth. 2 of 3. Comedians know how to provide value quickly. Quickly. So, in a comedy show, how many here have ever been to a live comedy show? Okay. Did a little bit like what Esther did for me. What did Esther do for me before I got up? Anybody remember what she was saying? We recorded it, so we could go back. It's in the replay. What did Esther do for me before I got up?
She hired
Establish credibility.
That's it. And so what did I get to come up and do? 2 juicer salespeople. I'm like in it. That's what your favorite comedian is doing. Your favorite comedian, the MC reads their credits, and she or he it's on stage. Boom, they're in it. That's how comedians provide value quickly. Some of my favorite comedians here, anybody know who she is? Okay, this was her baby Cobra. If anybody doesn't know, she was about 7 months pregnant. She got introduced. Here's her first joke. Ready to kick open the show. That's awesome. 7 months pregnant, she's in. Boom. She provided that audience value quickly. I'm in it. Hi, I'm Ali. I want to tell you I've been doing comedy for like 20 years. Nobody does that, but salespeople do that all the time. Right? They get to it. Let's do, who said Wanda was their favorite? Wanda Sykes. I heard it before. All right, somebody in here, Wanda. There you go. All right, so this was a talk she did in California. How she kicked off this talk. For those of you who can't see on the side, I want to have my marriage recognized in Nevada, Arizona, all the way to New York. How can you stop people from loving each other? How can you get upset about loving? It's a pretty strong opener. Let's do the third one. The old goat. Anybody know who this is? Of course you do. Kicks off his show. Comedians know how to get to it. Comedians have a split second for the audience to decide, do I like this comedian or do I not? Salespeople, we waste a bunch of time. So let's talk about it. What the heck does this have to do with sales, Jay? Let's talk about your sales process. Hopefully that's not your sales process. That's supposed to be a little joke. I'm going to give you a simpler one. This is a simpler sales process for B2B sales. This is customer facing. I know there's probably a lot more steps to your sales process internally, but at a high level, you got a lead comes in. You do discovery, 1 discovery call, 2 discovery calls. I don't know what your exact process is, but you do discovery. Then if you're selling some type of software, maybe you do a demo. Or if you're doing bespoke, like professional services, you're doing some type of proposal, contract, closed one. Right? This is basically the gist of a B2B services sales process. What I see all the time is my clients come to me, the CEO will come and be like, Jay, we got $600,000 here in contract. We got $600,000. You got to help me close it. You got to help me close it. And I do a little digging, and what I'm finding out is, well, the salespeople are being order takers. They're not really doing a full discovery. They're maybe asking a question or two, but they're getting rushed and jumping right to the demo or proposal. Or worse, the salespeople are doing some discovery, skipping the proposal phase altogether, running up the cost of sales, and saying, okay, great, thanks a lot, I'll send you the contract. And they're emailing a contract. When you skip the steps, the sales process becomes less and less effective. So the first thing you want to know as a founder, as you want to scale your team, you need to have your team be closing in phases. Closing in phases, meaning each of these is a checkpoint. There's criteria that has to be done in order to move to the next step. So, as you're moving from step to step, by the time you get to contract, that's like 80–90% of the way done, because you closed all along the way. Closing isn't done at the contract stage. Closing is done in micro commitments all along the way. Okay? So we've established that baseline. What does that have to do with getting to the point quickly like comedians? Here it is. What 99% of the companies that I'm working for right now are missing is what's in it for them. I can build you an awesome sales process all day long. What's in it for you? Keep time wasters out of there. Qualify them out. Close them. That's easy. What's in it for them? So what I mean here is if you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to be up with what's coming up, if you want to be competitive with the other competitors that you're working against, you have to have value in every interaction for your prospect in order to be engaging, in order to move them down. So how I want you to think, founders, is what can I do for my prospect in each stage that provides them value, whether they decide to work with us or not? That's how you build a brand. That's how you help people. That's how you put love and light out there. So let's do it. I'm going to open it up to you. What is some value you can give your prospect, whether they decide to buy from you or not, in discovery? What's something good you can do for them to be like, that was not a waste of my time?
Summarize their situation.
Say it one more time.
Summarize their situation.
Summarize their situation. It's a great one. Let's go deeper.
Peer insights. Tell them stories about a local university with a similar firm and a similar pain point.
If you didn't hear her, what insights can you give? You might not be smarter than your prospect about everything, but you sure are smarter at your prospect about exactly what you do. What are trends coming up? If you're an SEO, let me give you some trends. Let me give you some ideas about what AI is going to do. If you're doing websites, here's what to look out for ADA, right? ADA compliance, so your website is good for. Or even, hey, as you reach out to other agencies, watch out for this type of agency. That's all value. There's one more. My salespeople like me, I was kind of a stupid salesperson that I had good business acumen, but I didn't understand tech. What would I do during discovery to make sure that there was value for that prospect? Who would I bring along?
Subject matter experts.
Yeah, right? You might not want to do it the very first call. If I want to get a second call, I'm going to bring somebody really smart. And we're going to get a couple questions at whether you decide to work with us or not. All right, last one. What about in this phase? What value can you give a prospect, regardless of if they buy from you or not, in that proposal phase?
Giving them ideas of how to move forward.
Beautiful. This is my strategy, especially if it's bespoke, right? It's custom services. This is what you need. What else? Free trial. Awesome. What else?
Understanding of budget.
Sure. Yeah, everybody wants that price. That's what they're pushing. But yeah, here's our investment estimate. Here's what you need to look out for. One more. There's one more I'm thinking of.
Like ownership, they already feel like they've tried it out since you give them a demo that, oh, this is what it feels like. Test driving a car or something.
That's great. That's great. I'm thinking of one more specifically, though.
How you solve the problem.
Okay, how you solve their problem. What I was thinking of, it's close to what he was saying, is like low-hanging fruit. Like, hey, we looked at your back end, we looked at your system, whether you work for us or not, bang out A, B, C, and D, you're going to increase traffic, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, right? Give them free stuff. The last thing I'm going to say is, and we talked about this just now with the MCs, so many salespeople are opening up a deck with, here's all about us, here's our core competencies, here's our leadership, here's how many awards we won, here's how many offices we have. That's awesome. Don't open with it. Don't open with it. Open with a summary. Here's what we heard. Here's what we see. Here's some low-hanging fruit. Boom, let's engage them. Let's talk. Here's 5 trends. Here's 5 executive trends you need to be aware of. And then let's get into it. Save your other stuff, put it in the appendix, leave it for the leave behind. That is how you provide value quickly. You have to understand like a comedian. When your clients go, or your prospects go dark, when they don't accept a second call, they think you're going to waste their time. What are you doing to make sure that you're not wasting their time? Leave this up here for a second. We've got plenty of time. Salespeople who can't deliver value and insights are no longer relevant. Right? That's what automation and AI, self-service portal, those people need to be very afraid. What value can you provide in every step, during every client interaction? All right, so if you're the founder, you've got a sales team, here's your checklist. What are the stages of your sales process? Do you have them mapped out? Doesn't mean it has to be a rigid script, but what is discovery, proposal, contract? What are the stages? What are the criteria, right? What's in it for our prospects? Some of your junior salespeople are not going to be able to figure this out. You're going to have to provide them with the insights. You're going to have to tell them. You're going to have to help them with the deck. What's in it for your prospects in each stage? Who is keeping an eye? If you're not with them, who's keeping an eye, making sure the criteria is met? And how do you track it? Okay. I'm going to stop here. We're going to move into 3 of 3. Anybody have any questions, thoughts? Want to talk real quick? Oh, that was you were like, ah. All right, everybody ready for 3 of 3?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Last one. Comedians know how to engage. So this is me early in my comedy career. Anybody ever been to Comedy Works downtown? The one down. That's Dave Chappelle's favorite venue in the whole country. It's the friendliest, most amazing venue. I got 2 minutes. This is probably in 2005. I got 2 minutes on stage on New Talent Night. The room was packed. I had my little jokes. I killed it. The laughter, I was like, yeah, so excited. I almost quit my job the next day, right? That's how confident I was feeling. But then, I booked another gig at a dive bar that weekend where bikers were shooting pool, Game 5 of the World Series was on, and I bombed hard. And I was like, thank God I didn't quit that job. It's because I didn't know how to engage. I didn't have enough tools in my tool belts. Your favorite comedians, they know what they're doing across a variety of scenarios, and they make it look seamless. Let me give you some examples. Your favorite comedians, they know when to be a little cleaner and when to be dirty. The early show, you gotta be a little bit clean. You can't get all crazy in the early show. The late show, when everybody's drunk, that's a dirty show, right? Or you're watching the comedy show, right? I'd be in a showcase, I'd be, 4th or 5th, and I'd see all the comedians bomb with dirty jokes. Okay, the crowd's not having it. What do you got that's clean? I only got 4 jokes. I got no tools. Next one is Denver versus Miami. What region are you in? I'm not going to go to Miami and tell a bunch of jokes about,
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks, there you go, about skiing, right? And vice versa. It was crazy. So I've done comedy in Denver and Miami. And in Miami, when somebody tells you, take a hike, jump in a lake, it's like a bad thing. But then I moved to Colorado, and people are like, you want to take a hike? Let's jump in the lake. And it's like a really good thing. Totally different. You got to know where you are. Next thing is bits are just jokes that you've written. Then there's crowd work, like, hey, where are you from? How long you been dating, right? Go into the crowd. And then improv. That's where you're just like, nothing's working, forget about it. More tools in their tool belt. If your jokes aren't working, well, we got to do something. And then finally, there's different jobs. The MC has a very different job than an opener and then a headliner. We're not going to go into the specifics there, but you need to know how to engage the audience across a plethora of scenarios. When you want to win over your audience, context is everything. And you want to meet them where they're at. So let's pivot to sales. What the heck does this mean for sales? So I'll tell you a quick story. Another story about my son. I take him to the mountains with our family, and I try to show him the best time ever. We took the gondola to the top. He did high-low ropes. We went for hikes. He went trout fishing, caught his first fish. And I was so excited. I'm like, I really gave him all Colorado had to offer. We came back home. He went to soccer practice. His coach came up to him and said, hey, buddy, how was your trip to the mountains? And he looks at his coach in the eye and he said, it was awesome. When we got to the hotel, we pulled the bed out of the couch. I looked underneath. There was Fruit Loops, popcorn, and dust balls. Best vacation ever. I was like really upset. I was like, I showed you all that, and that was your favorite part of the trip? And I got upset, and then I thought, you know what? That's a lot like sales. Us salespeople, we get really excited about our stuff. I can't wait to show you this software. I can't wait to show you this feature. I can't wait to show you this is what we do. But sometimes the prospects, they're looking for something different. They're looking for the popcorn and the Fruit Loops and the dust balls under the couch, and there's no way to meet them where they're at unless we ask better questions. So 3 of 3 is when you want to be like a comedian and be versatile and be able to meet your prospect with it, not close them no matter what. I'm not the kind of guy that's good, I'm going to give you a scenario, you're going to close. No. Let's find out where they're at and let's help them. So let's talk about it. This is one of my favorite analogies. Salespeople, like I was a comedian early, but they don't know how to meet a prospect where they're at. They're like, their only tool is a hammer. You ever heard this saying? And when you only got a hammer, everything looks like a nail, baby. Get them in, ask them the same 3 questions, show them that demo, send them the contract, let's close them. Close rate's going to be pretty crappy if you don't understand the context. So when you want to not be an order taker like that, you want to evolve from an order taker to a consultant, here's 2 things you got to remember. 3 of 3 here. There's a difference between business discovery and technical discovery. Okay, anybody want to raise their hand? What do I mean by the difference between business discovery questions and technical? Anybody want to take a guess? Shout it out.
Business, what KPIs are you trying to drive? What does your company actually do, and how can we help you do it better? Technical. And our back end talks to your back end. We'll listen to what they're saying.
Awesome, that was perfect. So what he said is, business discovery questions are, what are the KPIs? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to do with this solution? Technical is, can our back ends talk? Can we plug in? Do you have the right software already here? Because we're only a WordPress, blah, blah, blah. Awesome, great job. Last thing, anybody heard of the term buyer intent? So hand in the back, loud. You want to give me a quick example?
I thought we were just raising our hands, but how interested they are in buying a product to solve an issue that they're experiencing?
Perfect. So I'll take it a little farther. She said, how interested are they? Buyer intent is, where are they at in their buying process? Where are they at in their whole spectrum of what they need to do? So, let me give you an example. What's your name in the back?
Sarah.
Sarah, okay. So, imagine a first meeting with a prospect. Is that first meeting with a prospect, is it going to go the same way if they heard about us, came in through our website and said, hey, I want to talk, versus you had some outbound demand gen, interrupt that person in their day, set a quick 15 minutes, they have no idea, they haven't researched you. What's the difference of those 2 first calls? Is that the same exact agenda, or is that totally different?
Totally different.
Totally different. That is buyer's intent. If I'm talking to you the first time off of a cold call, I got to do a lot of tap dancing. I got to give you a lot of trends. I got to convince you this is worth your time. Versus if it's inbound, they've done their research. They're farther along. They want to talk to you. So, I'm going to give you right now to figure out buyer intent, to understand where your customer, where your prospect is at. I'm going to give you my 3 magic questions. That's me dressed up there. Okay. Question number 1, and this is for inbound. This is not, you do not ask this question off of a cold call. This is for inbound. Favorite question number 1. What recently changed to make this a priority now? Why I love this question when it comes to buyer intent is, number 1, I'm figuring out, is there a need? And number 2, to make this a priority now. If the person I'm talking to answers me and says, well, I actually was just researching this technology, I read a cool blog and I wanted to reach out and find out more. That's a totally different sales approach than, I just got out of an all-hands meeting, my CEO, she just smashed down on the table and said, this is your number 1 priority, we have money allocated, this is your number 1 thing you have to get done in Q4. How does that change your sales process, my founders and salespeople? Absolutely. Number 2, this was your question. How do we measure success? What does success look like? When you want to be able to provide that value, when you want to talk business outcomes, this is the right question to ask. I have trained a ton of teams and services that don't care about this question. They don't care. Here's your menu. Here's all your stuff. You can pick package A, B, C. We don't care if it works for you. Here's the prices. Let's roll. What does success look like? If they don't know what success looks like, you got some educating to do. And 3 of 3, this is my favorite one of all. Not what is your budget, but how did you come up with the budget? How? There's only 2 answers they're going to give you. Answer number 1 is, budget is already allocated and it's between you and 3 of your competitors. Number 2, I don't have a budget. I got to go get this money internally. Those are 2 totally different sales approaches. That's what it means to meet your buyer where they're at. Punchline here for 3 of 3, different prospects need different sales approaches. All right, so my founders, if you're trying to scale, get out of sales, figure out a way to score these opportunities, figure out a way to figure out where they're at through discovery questions, and then you need to be able to train different sales approaches. They don't have to be drastically different, but different sales approaches based on buyer intent. All right, let's recap it. Number 1, you are the differentiator. You told some great Mitch Hedberg jokes, but you were no Mitch Hedberg. Number 2, sell value to connect authentically. Number 3, what are you doing? What's in it for them? What are you doing to provide value in every interaction? Number 4, you need to be able to engage based on buyer intent. All right, I told you I wanted you to have 1 tip when you left. Increase revenue year over year, deal size, sales productivity. That's exactly what I want for you. So here's your call to action. And we'll wrap. You want to do some Q&A? Anybody have anything, or would you just wrap in network? You want to go back to the wrap? This one? Wait, is this the one? Yeah. All right, grab it. Questions? Anybody want to talk for a minute? We can network after. Go.
What advice do you give to founders who are looking to make time, to protect time in the sales process?
To get out of it?
To do it themselves and also make time to write down the sales process so they can train others.
Make time to document. That's a really good question. I believe different people have different preferences, and mapping out the sales process on a whiteboard is totally different than documenting it. I'm a whiteboarder. I'm not a documenter. I get it. You need to have the right team, right? That cognitive diversity to be able to do that. You're right. You're right. Or you can hire a consultant, somebody to come in and just help you optimize it and document it. But it's tough. Anybody else? Please.
As a sales leader, I like discovery calls because they give you information, but as a buyer, I hate them because they waste my time. So I'm just sort of curious how you think about that and how and when you slow down.
Yep, and it's really dangerous. So when you're in the discovery, you don't even know you're doing it, but you're providing value. Here's why this question is important to you. Here's some things to think about. So when you want to get out of discovery, the challenge is you put somebody in that's right out of college, there's no value for that prospect. And it is a buyer's job to rush you, to get you to that price, because that's all they want is the price. To get you there as quick as possible, you have to find a way to provide value. It's tough. I totally get it, it's tough. Yes, and salespeople hate to be sold to. I totally get it. To go back though, what kind of trends, what kind of things are you doing during discovery, where even as you're asking questions, they understand what's in it for them? It's tough. It's tough, but it's trends, it's insight, it's smart people, it's free advice, it's things like that. All right, one more and we'll wrap. Please.
So I'm an operations person, so I'm a fractional chief operating officer.
Okay.
Sort of sales is scary to me because I'm on the other side. I'm the analyzer and the documenter. If I have to talk to somebody, no. Any recommendations on how I can step back into that, because all of this is fantastic. Don't really get a panic that I have.
Let's talk after. The only thing I can say is people in your situation that don't want to do sales, and again, I don't know if it's because you'd rather not have that human interaction or you have a hang up on sales, but when you don't look at sales as always be closing and you look at it as I'm going to help you, no matter what I know I'm going to get on this call. I'm going to do what's best for you. Even if it's tell you don't buy from us, don't buy from someone else. I promise, like, the mindset is, I'm going to do something good for you in exchange for this time, no matter what. That helps a lot of people get through. And people want to deal with people like that. People don't want to deal with the classical salesman. Some of the best salespeople I know were actually doing the execution, understand the business better than anybody, and then they decided to sell. That's who we want to be sold from. Somebody that knows what they're talking about, not somebody with a quota and commissions, and I'm going to close you at all costs. So maybe it's a mindset shift. You know, past that we could talk, but I get it. I get it. It comes down to preferences, though. Not everybody wants to do that. Okay. All right, let's wrap. Last thing I want to tell you, this is your 5th tip. When you see your favorite comedian on Netflix, and if you're like, ooh, that joke didn't work, or ooh, that was cringy, guess what? It really wasn't, because that comedian has tried that joke in various venues all across the nation. That comedian didn't think of that joke on the way to the Netflix special. It's been tried, it's been tested. Whether you like it or not is fine, but every single thing that you see in a Netflix special has been tested across multiple audiences for months, sometimes years, before it debuts on TV. My question to you founders is, what do you have that's similar for your salespeople? Where are your salespeople open mics? Where is their chance to practice, to train, to learn? Me coming up as a salesperson, I was constantly practicing in high stakes. I was cutting my teeth while I was losing deals. That's absolutely insane to me. I got better, but think of how much better the company could have done if they were putting me into scenarios like an open mic, a safe space where I could train, where I could learn. So my founders, what are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your salespeople? Whether it's Toastmasters, whether it's some type of improv, whether it's role-playing, whatever it is, even if it's just pitching to your company at lunchtime, what are you doing? You have to be practicing. You have to be trying this in not high-stakes scenarios, especially as you're ramping up a new sales team. Quick plug for Pitch Lab, this is what I do. I create training, I create things like this, so your salespeople don't have to cut their teeth in front of clients, in front of qualified clients, and miss that. Our clients, great people, they just need a little bit of help with sales, presenting themselves better, those type of things. If you want to learn more, pitchlab.io. And last giveaway, it's an ebook, 10 presentation tips from comedians. It'll recap some of the things we talked about and then give you more tips. If you want 10 presentation tips from comedians, it's either on the website or you could just email me, put ebook in the subject line. Put ebook in the subject line. We got 15 minutes to hang out and network. Big thanks to Denver Startup Week. John in the back there. Break a leg, my founders, my salespeople, really had a good time with you. Enjoy the rest of your Denver Startup Week. Thanks, y'all.